Now, there's a lot of interesting development in this space, and this one here is for high frequency trading. So a lot of people that do trade on exchanges, they can trade and make arbitrage and all sorts of things within seconds. And that's the type of trading that a lot of people are used to. But when you come to DeFi, that isn't quite possible because of block confirmation times and all these other aspects that make it a lot slower. But the guys here from Delta DeFi are changing that up, and I'm pretty interested to see how this one all works. I have Hinson joining me on this episode to talk through it all, and we're going to learn exactly how this is going to be possible. Hinson, welcome to the podcast.
Yeah, thank you for having me today.
Okay, so what exactly is this experience that you're building? I kind of alluded to it then, but coming from someone that's a lot more experienced, I think will be much better. So what are we building here?
So actually, we are building another new DAOZ, which is called Delta DeFi, but it's not exactly just a DAOZ or a typical DAOZ right there in the ecosystem. We are tackling a very, very specific problem that probably not much high frequency traders are kind of trading on Cardano on the DeFi ecosystem, but we are targeting a pretty new segment. So we are solving the problem of high frequency trading. So just break it down into very, very simple terms. What are exactly the things that high frequency traders are looking for? The first one is when you create the order on the blockchain, it will charge you a transaction fee or a gas fee in other blockchain ecosystem, we call it. And the same thing, it happens on canceling your orders. Like if you hit a kind of request to build a transaction to just cancel your orders posted on any DEXs, it will just also charge you another fee. But this fee, although it might look tiny or just a little bit in our normal user's eye, but it's kind of unacceptable for most of the high frequency traders because of the trading behavior is quite different than the normies. Like I just give a very realistic example is that for most of the high frequency traders that I know, they literally just place hundreds of orders per second. And when you think about the implication on the blockchain ecosystem, like in one block in our Cardano network is 80 something kilobyte. And if your transaction going back is already double digit of kilobyte happening. So this alone already make it technically impossible for us to just do 100 or thousands of transactions that keep putting on the blockchain, posting order, canceling order. So this is from a technical perspective. And then going back to the user's perspective is also unacceptable. When you think about in Cardano, when we just normally send a fund to another wallet, it will cost us like 17 cents either or so. But if you think about if a traders, they want to place 100 order at the same time, it will just cost them 17 either per second. So this is something that the cost has kind of made the high frequency trading prohibitive on Cardano or other kind of blockchains. So what we are trying to build here is very straightforward. Is that we have a layer just to make sure that the trader can still place order, but without any transaction fee. Like when you place the order, cancel order, there will be no transaction fee because the layer is handled in the off-chain. Meanwhile, we still have some of the architecture to making sure that everything is non-custodial, which means that we can only process the trader's instruction and then we cannot do anything with the user's fund. So this is on the base layer. And then another very important feature that the high frequency traders looking for, well, this is pretty much kind of difficult on Cardano, but maybe possible on Solana, is that they want to do the instant order finality. Like once they place the trade, they want to have the instant feedback on whether the trade has been passed through and what is the executed price, so that they could just carry on part of their strategy elsewhere. May it be Binance or may it be just other DEXs or other places. So this is the second feature that Delta DeFi is bringing to the Cardano ecosystem, is that when you place an order, there will be an instant kind of order confirmation, no matter you're placing order, canceling order, and so forth. And I will also do a pretty small demo on these features later on. But yeah, this is a very high level feel about what we are building.
Okay, there's a couple of things here that I'd like to dig into, a couple of keywords that you just mentioned. The first off, since we just talked about instant finality, what is the finality time of Cardano at the moment in comparison to other blockchains? I know off the top of my head, but for those that don't know, can you explain that?
Yeah, so when we talk about finality, I'm actually having two definitions here. So the first definition is about the blockchain finality. It's that once you place a transaction on the Cardano network and then it propagate and then until certain confirmation kind of by different node operator, then you could call that transaction is definitely here forever. So this is one of the kind of broader definition of finality, is that on Cardano probably takes a couple of minutes. That's the minimum, I would say. But when I talk about the feature here in Delta DeFi, I'm talking about just the order finality. What does it mean by order finality is that, for example, if you want to buy Ether at 50 cents, you hit the API, and then the order finality means that is your kind of order pass through, or are you guaranteed to get the other side of tokens to your account or wallets? So this is the order finality. So it's a little bit different than the settlement. Like on the broader sense of blockchain finality is on the trading sense, it's more about settlement. Like I just make a very simple example is that whenever you want to trade your stock in interactive brokers or other brokerages, there's also instant order finality. Like if you want to buy one stock of Tesla, your IB kind of client mobile app will just tell you that you successfully buy it instantly, like right after another people filling your order. But that's not the same as settlement. Like all of the stock settlement happenings after the market is closed. Like the stock is actually transferred under your name after that trading day. So this is a settlement phase. So in Delta DeFi's design, we also take into a bit of the kind of wisdom from the traditional financial market, that we kind of making sure that the blockchain finality is equivalent to the settlement time, but not the order finality. But we bring the order finality a little bit earlier just by other mechanisms, just to make sure that when the transaction is not confirmed by the blockchain or not kind of having the blockchain finality, we can still call the order reaching the finality instantly. Yeah.
Gotcha. Thank you for that explanation as well. So this kind of leads me on to the off-chain side of things as well. So you're processing these orders on the off-chain side of your platform, and not settling, but fulfilling the orders and then settling it later. How does this all work? I'm trying to visualize it and paint a picture for the viewers here.
It's actually technically very simple and neat. Just whenever you are still signing different Cardano transaction when you place the order, but we have a layer just to host it up before it going onto the blockchain. And then we will do the matching for you. So that's also the way how we handle all of the contention. Is extremely simple in technical terms. But when it comes to the implementation, there's a lot of different tricky things to handle, including different types of like wallet things, like utility selections, this kind of thing. But in technical terms, it's extremely simple. Just we put whatever orders kind of filled onto the blockchain once it's really filled by another market participant, but we are not posting every orders on chain. Yeah.
Gotcha. Now, this also leads me on to non-custodial side of things. You did mention this is a fully non-custodial experience. So you're not putting assets onto your platform and then doing the high-frequency trading. All of these assets do remain in your custody. Can you explain that part of it?
Yeah. So at the entrance of Delta DeFi, you still have to deposit. This is not depositing into our wallet. There's another kind of smart contract that actually there's only one condition necessary, which is your wallet signing. So for every instruction that you do, no matter it's withdrawing funds out of the application or using the fund to place order, both action will need the user signature. So this is a way that we could still making sure that every crypto set depositing into the application is still in user's custodian. No matter what we want to do with the user's one, we just cannot do with it without you using your private key to sign it. Yeah.
Okay, very cool. That's really good to know. I know a lot of people after their terrible experiences in like 2022 and all these centralized platforms losing their assets and whatnot. It's good to know that we always have to sign and we have control over those particular aspects of it. Now, you also mentioned API development, and I know with high frequency traders, there's lots of bot activity involved. Python development is really good for some of this stuff. And I've got a trading bot that is written in Python and some other scripts as well. Tapping into this API sounds like a really good thing. So I can automate and use bot trading against Cardano assets, which would be amazing to see because there's not much bot activity on the Cardano blockchain at the moment. Can we talk about this?
Yeah. So the gist of it is extremely simple. Is that in our kind of backend development, we abstract every piece of Cardano kind of technical details, including all the transaction building things, literally everything. So you have to build your order kind of instruction in a way that you're calling Binance API. We are actually kind of taking reference onto the API or documentations to make our API endpoints. What's different is that right after you kind of hitting the order placing API, there's one additional step you have to do, which is signing the transaction. This is something that we cannot compromise, is that we still want to keeping everything under the user's custodian. So there's one extra step. But actually, whenever you want to place an order, you just imagine that you're hitting a post request, just a typical RESTful API, and then saying that you want to trade, for example, ADA to certain stablecoin, market order, what is the maximum slippage that you want to accept, and order in time. This kind of very typical kind of flat that you're trading on the centralized exchange. And once hitting that API, you will get a transaction hash. You just sign on it, submit it to our server, and then that's done. Yeah.
Okay. That sounds cool. I'm assuming you can sign with like a Cardano CLI and completely automate that whole process. Okay, great. Okay, it sounds like I'm going to have a little bit of fun playing around with this API to see how it all works and do some high frequency trading on the Cardano side of things. Now, before we get into this little demo that we got as well, what are some of the like roadblocks and issues that you've come into when developing this particular platform? I know it can get very technical sometimes. So is there anything that you'd like to highlight as some of the roadblocks that you had to conquer?
Yeah, I think there are actually two very big issues that whenever people want to try to solve this problem in this landscape, have to face it. We are kind of giving some tips to our potential competitor actually. So the first one is about UTXO contentions. Like when you want to have the axioms of high frequency trading, which means that every of the transaction you built must to get past it. So one of the very kind of high uncertainty in this landscape is about UTXO contention. Like what if the user's using two same UTXO to build two different transactions? Maybe one for your dApp, another for other dApps, or one for one orders in your dApp, second for another order in your dApps. So these are very tricky problems. So for most of the more decentralized dApps out there, we will still call ourselves a decentralized exchange, but in the sense that we have to do it is a bit of disclaimer that we kind of centralize the processes to handle these contention issues. But these are the kind of very tricky things that most decentralized exchange like MintSwap, Genesis, they do take UTXO from your wallets directly. That's a source of kind of contentions that happening literally every day when you want to trade. Like for example, your wallet just a little bit slower to help you confirm your transaction or update your kind of wallet kind of state, you're causing you contention issue with other dApps. This is one thing. Second thing is, like no matter you just dedicate your account for a certain trading platform, you still have to avoid using same UTXO. So this is very, very tricky problems. And in our dApp, we just use a very simple architecture to solve it. Is that we ask the user to deposit into our account, kind of your trading account before trading. So to make sure there's no fund in that account will be used for other debts. So this is some sort of our controls to kind of promote a kind of higher level guarantee that every transactions that we build for the users is 100% going to be passed. So this is very, very tricky. The second very tricky problem is we do have an auditable engine. I think it's something that pretty much similar to ESO, but for this trading engine, we are kind of very deeply integrated with the kind of the UTXO things. Like we also built in the UTXO kind of transaction hash and kind of rollback, those kind of every tiny technical details about UTXO blockchain into the auditable engines. So this is another very tricky kind of points that you have to get kind of a deep understanding onto Cardano and also very deep understanding on traditional software engineering to solve this problem. And yeah, so I think these two are most tricky things when we build it. But all this kind of heavy lifting is just to try to make sure one thing is that once you hit the API, we are 100% confident that your transaction will get past it. So that's a kind of basic SCM offer to the high frequency traders. Yeah.
Okay, that's really good to hear. You do want that API to always work, and I think a lot of Cardano users may have seen error messages pop up like inputs exhausted. When you're trading JPEGs or whatever it is, and you go, "What's going on? What is this issue?" And it all comes down to this contention of UTXOs within your wallet. So it's good that you guys have a solution for that, and it'll make trading on a Delta DeFi just that much easier. And with that, let's have a look at this demo and have an explanation of how this might work.
Yeah, so I have a recorded demo. So this is a very early stage of our kind of UI. We are already making a lot of changes, but I think this is still a good material to learn about how the kind of core features work. So firstly, if you interact with our dApp, probably you have to connect your wallets with your favorite wallets. And then there'll be a sign-in that we will checking against your wallet address. And when you want to place the order, you're just selecting your kind of order instruction here, maybe limit order, what is the price, what is the trading size. And when you place the order and then start the transaction here, just right after starting the transaction, you can already see that on the right-hand side, a very raw demo that there will be a API response getting back to the users, like your transaction has been placed successfully. So yeah, so this is kind of the first SCMs that we are kind of features that we are building for the users, is that when you place the order, we will get back to you immediately wherever your order has been posted. Although at this stage, the order book is not built, but you could assume that on the other client, there'll be already popping up a kind of a volume on the order book, so that other users could just trade on it directly. And then the second part is I try to, so this is a very raw demo onto our backend to see that the order is on the order book. Yeah. And the second part is that we try to connect with another wallet. So this one, the first order is we place a limit buy order. And then the second one is that we try to do a sell market order to see how it works or how it feels when you try to fill others' liquidity. So here I try to sell ADA in this account. You can see there's some ADA in this account. And I do the market orders. Again, you have to cite the transaction. You can see literally right after you cite the transaction, the API will just respond to you that the transaction has been submitted successfully. That's what we call the order finality, is that because we have so much control in the process that we can make sure it's definitely getting past the transaction. So that's why we could kind of have this level of confidence to tell to the users that your order is finalized before we send it to the blockchain. And then on the back end, you can see that here, very raw thing. We also have the kind of Cardano cool kit techniques, which is the transaction chaining happening at this stage. We're just sending both of the limit order and your kind of market order to the blockchain all together in the same time. and hopefully
Yeah,
processed by the
gotcha.
same block. And that's why we call our architecture having another name. It's called virtual order book. Although we are using the smart contract as the order book or as a desk, but if you go on the block force or Cardano scan to check the address, hopefully there will be 0 UTXO sitting on that address, because it's always happening as a tunnel. And we just make use of the script to making sure the transaction, the settlement is happening kind of correctly according to both users' instruction. So when you look into the Cardano scan here, another very tiny features that we're probably building out altogether is about the fee charge. Like we have a extremely flat fee charge to the users. For example, here for testing, we are charging 15 basis point, which is 0.15%. And this is flat. And our kind of depth side, our backend, we have the wallet to kind of pay the blockchain transaction fee for the users. So this is why we just absorb it. Like we as the kind of debt provider, we take the responsibility to optimize our script, but not optimize the script and reduce the users kind of charge. So we just take that part slowly. We just want to making sure we build the UX first prior to anything about optimization. And so the fee schedule is extremely kind of clear. So the good point of it is that just also taking into some wisdom or feedback from the high frequency trader, because when they do instant trading, for a lot of the time they profit on, let's say, just 10 basis points. So if you can give them a extremely clear fee schedule so that they could calculate a lot of things prior to the trade, so that they also incentivize them to placing the trade more confidently. So there's also another small features that we are doing. But so this is a very simple product demo to recap, just placing order instantly, canceling order instantly, matching order instantly. And then without matching your order, we will never charge a fee, and never had a fee happening on the user side.
All right, very cool. It's good that you thought about that fee as well. That didn't come to mind for me, but you're right. There are times when those transaction fees do go higher and higher with more users on the chain. It gets a little bit congested, and then the transaction fees go up, and then it could diminish your profits from arbitrage trading or whatever you're doing. So it's really good that you guys thought of that and put that into place, and no fees for when you just place an order and it has been matched yet as well. So that's really another good aspect there too. So it's looking good so far. Now, I have to say this entire platform isn't for the everyday user, is it? It is for that high frequency trader that is trading high volumes of liquidity. Is that correct?
Yep, this is primarily our focus initially, because as per probably other testers or developers might kind of facing this issue quite frequently, is that when your order size going smaller, there are a lot of tricky Cardano problems to happen. Like for example, UTXO dust, and then amongst other mean UTXO kind of things. So we, at a kind of initially, we just want to focus on making sure the UX is right for the high frequency traders. So it could also happen to be useful for day-to-day kind of users or traders, but the UX is probably just better for people having more ADA or tokens to trade with, because we kind of set the bar a little bit higher to just making sure that the kind of very tricky technical problems not going into our kind of backlog too early. So but this is a kind of direction. In the future, we probably will just hear more about the user feedback, whether they want to have these features. Because my hypothesis is that it will not necessary to build everything. Just if you're trading in that low volume, I would just prefer referring them to MinSwap or other existing desks. Probably they will have much better UX out there. Yeah.
Very cool. That's exactly what I thought. Now, with the funding for the development of this, you guys from SIDAN Labs, you guys had a Catalyst proposal, which was a large portion of the funding for this. It was in Fund 11. Is that correct?
Yep. So this idea initially was brought out by Fund 11. There's one concept proposal just to research around the high frequency trading things. Although we come with that proposal having some hypothesis in mind, but just in the past few months, we kind of validated that and try to build this thing and try to roll out as soon as possible, just to get the feeling that if that solve any of the kind of existing Cardano problem, we're pretty excited to that. Going forward, we have two streams of funding that we're also looking for. One is very straightforward, is that we apply for the follow-up proposal in Fund 12, which in Fund 11, we go for the concept, and then in Fund 11, we go one step kind of forward. And then we will also have a side proposal about building the open source trading infrastructure around it, like SDKs or trading bot templates for different language base. We probably will start from Python, and then we'll have TypeScript or JavaScript, Rust, and Golang. These are the languages our development teams use the most. So we're probably very comfortable implement that and bring it to fellow users. In that proposal, we will also bring in some real-world high-frequency trader that are kind of personal connection in Hong Kong to just build it together. So to make sure this is somehow kind of production-ready kind of toolings for fellow kind of traders just to have fun.
Yep.
And another sort of funding that we are also in a very good progress, we'll probably make an announcement out there, is that we're also doing some private raising. But we are kind of in a non-traditional sense, where we didn't really sell a token, but we are selling the technology and really do some tech things on that side. So this is something that we will update for the community later on as well. Yeah.
Interesting. That is very interesting. Well, I'll keep my eyes out for that one and see how that goes. I'll put all the links to the Catalyst proposals down below so you can see what the original ones were in Fund 11 and see these brand new ones in Fund 12 as well. So it'd be good to go through them all and get an understanding of what you guys are after in terms of funding and deliverables for all of that. But also, I'd like to thank you guys for your work that you're doing in the Hong Kong space as well, with all the meetups and everything that you're doing to drive and develop the Cardano ecosystem in Hong Kong and in Southeast Asia more broadly.
Yeah, this is something that we are always very exciting. Like you just cannot imagine how things are just connecting to each other. Like when we started to do the Cardano Hong Kong things, just a lot of people just coming in saying that, hey, I have this idea, can we build on Cardano? Hey, I have that idea, can we build on Cardano? Just things are just coming in. We are still orchestrating that part. We'll probably follow those things up after our kind of developer series happening in summer. I will try to have some kind of physical lectures utilizing some of the Gimbal Labs teaching resources, just to try to bring some new developers in, and then hopefully we can see some kind of the Hong Kong starter Cardano project more and more frequently in the futures or later in this year.
All right, super exciting. Hinson, thank you so much for joining me on this episode. Do you have any final words for our audience at the moment?
I think, the kind of core to action for us is that we are kind of more a kind of very hardcore tech team, like inside the Cardano ecosystem, but we do not kind of position ourselves as a kind of a venture house. Like gradually we are doing more and more about the infrastructure and kind of sharing things onto the ecosystem, but we don't want to take too much time into taking another contract or side jobs just to earning some money. So everyone could just do us a favor, is just help us to spread the word for the things that we are doing, no matter it's Delta DeFi, Cardano Hong Kong, or some infrastructure that we're probably having more details. There are in collaboration with MeshJS to bring some kind of cool open source toolings for the whole ecosystem. So all of these things that we do need more people to help us to spread the word. This is also a source of feedback for us as well. Like more people trying the thing, and then we get more feedback so that we can improve on the things more frequently. So probably this is something that I would like to mention right now. Yeah.
Awesome. I will put a link to all that, the Cardano Hong Kong, the previous meetups that you had with the photos and everything, and also the MeshJS stuff. So if you want to build a React.js interaction front end to the Cardano ecosystem, lots of resources out there for anyone that wants to deep dive into it and start building some really cool dApps. So again,
on MeshJS, I have one spoiler I could make earlier. That we are trying to build one with MeshJS to have a kind of a SaaS models. Like imagine you can just write off-chain codes by interacting with front end, drag and drops, and you have the endpoint exposure for your kind of customized off-chain codes. So this is something that we are trying to bring it out alongside some of our kind of current infrastructure. So it's something really cool that I always want to have, like a few years ago.
That is really cool. Interactive front end to build the smart contract code. That's really interesting. I will get you back on when you have something deployed there, so we can have a look at how that all works. Awesome work, guys. Like I said, all the links, references, Discord links as well, all in the show notes. And Hinson, thank you for joining me on this episode.
Yeah, thank you for having me today.